Welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast. My name is JP Abercrombie, Executive Associate Athletics Director at the University of Notre Dame. As a former student athlete, NCAA leadership development programs have played a pivotal role in my evolution as a person and professional. A proud graduate of the esteemed Dr. Charles Whitcomb Leadership Institute, participant in the Effective Facilitation Workshop, past facilitator and selections committee member for the Career in Sports Forum, and previous recipient of a postgraduate scholarship enabling me to pursue a career in sports, I am a testament to the transformative, practical, and effective skill-building opportunities provided by these programs. Reflecting on my journey, my ability to be great in the present is a product of the investments others have made in me, as well as those I've made in myself, especially through these programs. But don't simply take my word for it. Invest in yourself by exploring NCAA leadership development programs today and by locking in, listening, and learning from today's leader on the next episode of One Question.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast, where we highlight executive and organizational leadership. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 1Q Leadership. Our guest today is a guest who has been on our podcast multiple times. One of my favorite person to have on, Coach Glenn Caruso from University of St. Thomas. Greetings, Coach.
Thanks for having me. I think this is number 5, which means you owe me like some sort of jacket if this is like Saturday Night Live.
It's not a gold watch or something like that?
No. Just a blazer.
I appreciate it, Coach. Coach Caruso, you've been there for 16 years, I believe, as the head coach in the industry for almost 30 years, won a number of Coach of the Years, number of games, and somebody I like talking to in terms of leadership and a number of those things, such as that. We also have your daughter, Anna Caruso. Anna, give us your title again, because you are a freshman at St. Thomas, right?
Yes.
And you're on staff with Coach Caruso.
For the football team, I am the in-game strategy and data analytics person.
In-game strategy and data analytics. This is an interesting setup here, because what I know about her, Coach Caruso, is that she is just as tough as her father, right? Tougher than her father, and probably one of the better coaches on your staff. No knock against all the guys I know on your staff, right? But
look, we're not asking Anna right now to draw up a blitz or anything, but I will say this, in terms of being able to follow instruction and being mentally tough, she fits in tremendously well, and blessed that she does. Fortunately, right. She gets that from mom.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I want to talk to you about a couple things. The first thing is this transition from D3 to D1. We've talked about it, the whole process. We've had 2 or 3 conversations as you guys have transitioned. You're going into year 2 and 1 to conference, right?
Correct.
Which is crazy. And everybody's like, who are these guys, right? Coming into this conference and you already won the conference. In my mind, what I know about you is there's nothing different other than probably the structure of how you guys participate in the NCAA.
I appreciate that. It's actually it's a tremendous compliment for you to say that, but you're right. And you're observant. I mean, certainly our guys have gotten a little bit bigger, right? So yes, our tackles are 6'8" and 6'9", and yes, our linebacker runs a little bit faster, but the structure and how we run things, and look, culture is a word that is just like family in sports. It's often used and rarely understood. But I will say this, the way that we have been able to transition from, I mean, no one's ever done this before, right? So to be able to do something no one's ever done is terrifying, which is totally okay. There is no roadmap. You've done this for years. I've done this for years. We always had someone to call up and say, hey, can you help me out with this? This one, there's no one to call. So you really have to feel good about who you are, because when you're out in the middle of the storm, all you can take care of is that ship. And right now our guys have been amazing. Our coaches, our administration, our players, in terms of understanding that we are not special, but if we do it all right, we're a part of something special. And that's kind of what the last couple of years has been. 18 months in Division I. I think this is the 19th month. And it's been terrifying and a blessing all at once.
What I want to know is, and I guess this is just football in general. So you go through the conference last year and had a winning record, right? And you look at who you're coaching against, you understand the people, and then you come back in the conference this year and beat everybody. So I wonder about that process, right? If you think about like the NFL, right? It's rarely a repeat Super Bowl champion, because you only got 1 year to do your thing and then everybody figures you out kind of situation. So I wonder about the process of, and don't give away any secrets here, but the process of studying people as opposed to just studying the program.
Now that is what, right? That's what we think that we do a pretty good job of, is being able to, We're never going to be fast starters. That's not who we are. Team takes after their head coach. Their head coach is not fancy. Their head coach is not brilliant. Their head coach wasn't a good athlete, but he learns people pretty well. And I think our players have taken, I mean, if you can be a keen observer of human nature, it doesn't matter what you want to do. Anna Marie, what is your major? Possibly.
Psychology and data analytics.
So if you know people and you know odds, that's what when mom passed away and dad's raising all these kids, you have to be thrifty with what you teach because you got one parent, a lot of kids, right? And he always said, if you understand people and you understand odds, there isn't anything you can't do. And I think our players do that tremendously well. So I will also say, let's be frank, it's simpler for me to learn from year one and year two compared to the NFL. The NFL, everything is out there all over the place.
Yeah, right.
We're just a school in Minnesota in the second year of Division I. So for us, yes, year one was less about, it's kind of like for the offensive minds out there, it's kind of like putting together a script. Putting together a script is not about trying to have all touchdown plays. Putting together a script in your first 15 that you hope to get through by halfway through the second quarter is about knowledge, so you can learn, so that you can use that for a longer runway. And I think that's what our players and our coaches did, is we learned fairly quickly, and we're just trying to get a little bit better, and we did this year.
Is there anything, this is a silly question I ask you, Coach. Are you still learning about Division I?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not an expert in any way. Someone asked me to talk the other day, and they said, I want you to talk about Division I, how to navigate Division I. And I said, I need you to bring someone in so I can listen. I can't speak about that. I'm not going to pretend like I can. I can speak about what our experience in Division I has been. And it's been, it's not a silly question. It's refreshing for us to know, yes, the venues are different. And yes, the tackles are a little bit taller. But at the end of the day, who you are is who you are. And if you're willing to stick with that, sometimes at the risk of maybe not optimizing the first year, like you said, we didn't win every single game, and you're willing to learn and maybe not take yourself too seriously, then you can you get a lot of hay out of that. A lot.
Learn a whole lot.
I think so.
And then this year, you brought on a new coach.
We did.
Anna Caruso, or Anna Marie, as you call her.
I do. I'm the only one now.
You're right.
Yeah.
Anna Caruso, Anna. When I first learned about you, Coach told me about a basketball game and coaching you up, not understanding basketball, but coaching you up on the people part of the game, right? Which I thought was very interesting. And then now that you're on the sideline with them, talk to me about your experience in that, but talk to me about it from a leadership lens, not necessarily in terms of the things you're doing, but from a leadership lens, understanding what your father has done, and you probably know all the coaches, but you come into this game and this is the game that we all love. Every person in the building, we're here at the AFCA convention, will tell you it's the best thing that ever happened to the earth, right? Next to people. So talk to us a little bit about that.
I think it's cool to see, I think it goes to my dad. He parents the same way as he coaches, and he's the same leader with all the people he meets, all the, young men that he's teaching, his kids that he's teaching. And I think it's been cool for me to see, even coming to our first convention together, it's cool for me to see, I know he impacts people and he is a leader to everyone, and it is about the people. And I think it's so cool to see, his relationships, the circles that he's in, and how he takes every opportunity to be a leader, to give you a lesson out of every situation. And I thought that was cool, being able to be on the sidelines this season. He's my dad and he was my boss and my coach at the same time. And, being able to, at the same time, be his daughter and also be his coach at the same time, being able to have the simultaneous relationship was pretty awesome.
When you give him information, mm-hmm. right? You come in as a freshman, as new on staff, but when you give him information, is it ever a situation where look, coach, based on what this is telling us, this is what I suggest, or something like that? Is there a situation where it's an aggressive conversation with the coach?
I don't know if I describe it as aggressive. We'll discuss after every drive, or if it's something sooner that needs to be addressed sooner. I found a pattern or whatever the case may be, I'll address it sooner. But we have a great relationship, and he trust me and trust my intuitions and my, what I pick up on, what I believe, and what I know about people. And so he listens to me. He doesn't just, shoo me off. He'll listen to me, and that's what I'm here for, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't shoo you off, because you're on the sideline, right? And if you're important enough to be on the sideline, then there's definitely some input that you can provide for the success of the team. There's a broader conversation about women coaching football now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which at the AFCA, I can go back probably 8 or 9 years, and there was a woman named Natalie Wilson, I think, or Washington, out of DC. She was a head coach at a high school out there, and I tried to get her to speak. And there's been sprinkles, but in the recent years, there have been more women coaching football, right? So now you're a part of a broader conversation about women in the game. Tell me your thoughts on that as you learn to be a coach.
I'm in a very, blessed situation where I have been taught a lot about, people and football, from my dad and from the environments I've been around, from his connections. But there's a lot, I understand that I'm very blessed in that and, may have leg up there. But there are so many women, they just want to know, they just want to be educated. And so if we can get male coaches out there who are willing to humble themselves a little bit and step down and educate, take that risk, and women in coming to the football industry are not a threat. We just want to learn. We just want to know. We haven't been, grown up. Not all of us have been grown up playing the sport. We may be around it, but we don't know as much as, we aren't in those circles. Like I'm seeing my dad in circles, people he played with and he coached with, all that stuff. So we're starting at a disadvantage, and so we just want to know, and we're just curious.
Yeah, there's this aspect, one more question along the lines. There's this aspect that working with the coaches for almost 15 years, every time a young coach would tell a veteran coach that I want to be a coach, veteran coach would say, do you love football? And he would ask that question and then follow it up with, if you love it, can you live without it? Because they wanted the coaches to know that this is going to consume your life only if you love football, and you got to be willing to allow it to consume your life. I wonder, freshmen in college, have you seen that part of life consumption, I guess, right, on the sideline yet in terms of working with the football team? Like it becomes a part of your life. Like it's a fabric of you, right?
Absolutely. Going back to when I'm a senior in high school, making my decision about where to go to college, and it was never forced upon me that I needed to go to St. Thomas. It was always welcomed and encouraged. But I made that decision on my own to go to the University of St. Thomas to play softball, get a great education, and I knew if I went where my dad coached that there would be a job could open up for me. And I think part of my decision-making process was I didn't want to be away from football. I didn't want to be away from my dad, and I couldn't. I don't think I've ever went a football season missing more than one game. Right. And so it consumes you, but it's such a joy, and it becomes part, the people you're around, the circles you're in, the conversations you have, the lessons you learn, how you carry yourself, and your morals and your values, those come from what you have learned from football. So it's just ingrained in you.
Yeah, which is excellent. So you mentioned softball.
Yes.
So you also play softball.
Yes.
Right. So play softball, coach with the football team, just 100% sports. Let's do it. The leadership, all that stuff. Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't, again, going back to my deciding what I want to do in college and with my life, and I don't know 100% yet, but when I was 17 years old, 18 years old, figuring this out, I knew I couldn't see myself without sports, at least at that moment. Not only playing brings me so much joy, but the connections from, going to my softball teammates, some of my best friends, and I know St. Thomas has a history of an amazing sisterhood from that program with those girls and those coaches, and so I wanted to be a part of that.
How will you, after this, I'm going to ask you some questions, Coach.
I love listening. You keep asking.
Softball season, when that comes up, will you be able to participate as a player psychologically? Like, will you be able to just play and not think in terms of being a coach? Like, those are two different, right?
Mm-hmm. I think in game, yeah, as I'm playing, I can just play. I can be free. I'm good at, compartmentalizing and doing what I need to do on the field while I'm there. I think in the way that I, in practice, in lift, around my teammates. We're at dinner, whatever we're doing. I think the way I am a teammate comes from a coach's standpoint. I think the advice I give and the way I carry myself, what I say to them, how I build them up, comes from the coach's standpoint. And I think I provide like a bridge between the coaching staff, because whether they're telling me directly or I just have an intuition of what they want or what's best for the program, and between my teammates, I think I'm a bridge. And because people are willing to listen to me on my team, which I'm very fortunate. So I think I'm a bridge between those two.
Yeah, which is excellent. And embrace that role, right, while you're doing it.
And I think just to jump in, a lot of times our liabilities become our strengths. And if we're not careful, our strengths can become our liabilities if we don't know ourselves, right? And so in watching, for instance, Anna, I'm not going to sit here and say that Anna is the best player on any team she's ever been on. Is that fair? Right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, very honest. But I think in doing so, if someone is thoughtful and competitive enough, you find ways to gain winning edges. Well, part of that is growing and honing that intuition. So part and parcel of, I think, how Anna approaches anything is from the lessons that she learned from Rachel and our family and myself. And I think that serves a lot of people really well. I think that there's this misconception that, we go to Italy sometimes. We take our team over to Italy every couple of years. And when we first went over there, I got into an argument with one of the Italian players because he wasn't respecting his coach, and he wasn't respecting him because he wasn't a great player. And I said, well, have you learned about Italian history? And he said, of course. And I said, do you think that that person was living 100 years ago when that happened? He said, no. And I said, it's because teaching is learning. You don't have to have been a part of it. And I think Anna is able to balance that really well, and it serves her well, and it's fun to watch her.
Yeah. What's interesting that I would like to learn from you, Coach, is what has this process of having your daughter on the sideline with you opened your eyes to, right? In terms of women in coaching, right? And in terms of the staff dynamic and everything, right?
So I think a lot of times that if someone would ask that question, it might be answered with, well, she's given me great perspective, and, but she has. To be able to be when you're coaching football, as you know, Ty, you're playing football, you have got to be so acutely focused on your job as a cog in that machine.
Right.
And sometimes when we get so creased or rutted into what our job is, we don't have a chance to just sit back and see the bigger picture. And a lot of times when I am able to look over at Anna and she makes me smile in a way that Wally Kaczynski's the best coach I ever been around. He's amazing. We've been together 16 years. I learn from him every day. But when I look over to Coach K, he doesn't make me smile like right? So that gives me almost like a cleansing breath of perspective. And so that's part of it. It's also, it's worked both ways. I think the interview was probably from the point of view of the daughter seeing what the dad does and maybe wanting to go down. But frankly, I never knew anything about softball before, but it's fastly become my favorite sport. And someday, when Anna if she so chooses to be a head coach, I'll gladly retire and be her assistant in a heartbeat. Being dead serious, not joking at all, because I love being able to watch people do what they're passionate about. So whatever, it doesn't matter whether it's raising kids or whether it's running a business, and it doesn't. Now, you look at where women are in the marketplace of football, and you realize, let's go back about 5 years, and before there was a woman official, okay, you're saying that all of your officials for the better part of 100 and something years of football were only half of the world's population. Who goes into much of anything without automatically not recognizing that they want to pull from the biggest pool? You have a job open. You don't want to pull from half a pool. You want to pull from the whole pool, right? Now, with that, because it wasn't built up, there has to be an accelerated education that goes into it. Now we sit in here 5 years later, and it's a part of what it's not different. It's just the norm when you see a female who's officiating on Sunday at the highest of levels. And I think coaching is going to be much like that, but it's not going to be much like that unless, like Anna alluded to 13 minutes ago, unless there are people that are open and accepting of that, not just accepting, but willing to be able to educate everybody in the way they would educate anybody. And until we get to that part, I think we're underachieving as football coaches. I really do.
Here's what I wonder, Coach, as a freshman center back when you played.
Yeah, bad looking body, but yes, I was a center. Yep.
Freshman center, did you know what direction you were going in life?
I did. I was going to law school, and here I'm talking to you at the AFCA. I did.
So I wonder about that, Anna. You've chosen a profession that the people who retire only retire because their bodies don't allow them to keep doing it. That's the only reason most coaches get out of it, right? Or they get worn out by some aspect of things other than the game, right? I wonder about that from your perspective as a freshman in terms of what you think about the long term. Now, I will give this caveat. I'm not a parent, but I get on a lot of parents' case for getting on their children's case about planning the next 45 years of their life when they're a freshman in high school or something like that. I'm like, look, let them just get through the semester before you start asking them what they're going to major in and have they taken the GMAT yet to go to get an MBA. But I guess that's kind of the question I'm asking you as a freshman, working as a coach, also playing softball. How far ahead have you planned in terms of what your career would look like, I guess, in the next couple of years while you're still in college, maybe?
I don't have any set plans. My mom and dad made it very clear going to college. You don't need to know what you want to do. You don't need to know yet if you don't need to rush your decision if you're going to play softball. You don't need to know if you want to work for dad yet. All these things, and so we take very thoughtful decision paths to our final answers. And I'm 18 years old. I have so much life ahead of me. I don't know yet that coaching is 100% what I want to do. I just hope to find something that if this is my passion, this is my calling, I will be a coach and I would love to do that. But if it's something else that's my passion, I'm just going to take, at the foundation of everything, it's people. And so, it's your connections, it's your culture, it's your relationships and your networking, which is a lot of what I've been learning lately. And I will carry that and the lessons that I've learned. They don't need to be, exactly about your 4th and 2 call or, when you've got bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, whatever it is. It's about how you handle the situations and your connections.
I'll ask this last question here and we'll wrap. You guys can both chime in. The Caruso family values, right? Which could be a book. I wonder about specifically for you, Anna, the philosophy that they have, right? Go, just figure out your life, right? And just make sure you're successful at what you're doing at a high level, be organized, be processed. Truly. A lot of the people around you, a lot of the coaches, the players you're probably coaching, or the players you play with, or just the students who are just students on campus that aren't athletes. Some of them, most of them probably don't have that type of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it is innate in you to make the people around you better because of the Caruso family values. Is that something that happens naturally? Because I know you don't go into the world with tunnel vision and say, I am this way, everybody else can do whatever they want to do. So tell me about that, just that impact.
I think I impact people based off my values. I don't, for the most part, I wouldn't say I necessarily, go to people. I say, you have a broken value system. Let me help you fix it.
Yeah.
I think it's more in the way I carry myself and how I try to be a daughter and a friend and a sister and a teammate and a classmate, and hoping that I will, rub off on them and influence them. And they're like, I want to see, what that girl's about. How would she be like that? And
you don't have to say it to relate. You know that, right? Our actions speak so loudly. People shouldn't be able to hear what we say, and that's what I think is as we look at those family values that you talked about, I should not have to say much of anything if we wake up and know that we're wildly imperfect in everything we do, but we're willing to outwork and outlast and outthink and try and do all we can to just get a little bit better to be the person that the Lord intended us to be. And that's what I get to see when I look at our daughter.
Right. And the people around you see that. And like me, they want to be a part of it. They need to be a part of that Caruso family values. Can I just get chapter 2 and 3 so I can study that?
It goes both ways, but you still have that family thing on your desk, right?
Forget about me, I love you.
Simple. FAMILY.
100%. Been saying it for years since I heard you say it. Before we wrap, tell me the title again, your position.
In-game strategy and data.
In-game strategy and data. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Well, Coach Caruso and Anna, this has been an excellent conversation. I really appreciate you guys joining me again on the One Question Leadership.
Todd, always a blessing being with you, Todd. You're able to bring things out of people that very few are, and so grateful for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. That was Anna Caruso. She is a freshman at University of St. Thomas. She is also in-game strategy and analytics for the St. Thomas football team, also on the softball team there at St. Thomas. And of course, Coach Glenn Caruso, who is the head football coach, also at University of St. Thomas. And of course, I am Ty Brown with one question, and keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.